Welcome to Illicit BL Stories. If you're here for obsession, tension, and feelings that ruin your day, please like, subscribe, and share. Now let's get a little illegal. The rain pounded the streets of the city like it was trying to wash away every sin. I was soaked through, hood up, hurrying home from my late shift at the bookstore when I saw him. A kid, maybe 16 or 17, stood under a flickering street lamp, rocking slightly on his heels, hands flapping at his sides in tight, frantic bursts. He wore a thin hoodie and jeans that were too big, staring at the ground like the cracks in the pavement held answers. No phone, no bag, no one with him. Just him, alone in the middle of nowhere at midnight. I slowed. Something in his posture screamed lost, not just directionally but deeply. I approached carefully, keeping my voice low and even. "Hey, you okay? You look like you need help." He didn't look up at first. His rocking intensified, then stopped. When he finally lifted his head, his eyes were wide, pupils blown, avoiding mine completely. "Home," he whispered. "I need home. But the map is wrong. The numbers changed." Autistic, I realized instantly. I'd volunteered at a youth center before. I'd seen the signs, the sensory overload, the literal thinking, the way the world could overwhelm in seconds. He wasn't drunk or high. He was just stuck. "Okay," I said gently. "Can you tell me your name?" "Luca." He rocked again. "Luca Moretti." Moretti. The name hit like a brick. Everyone in this city knew that name. The Moretti family ran half the underground, drugs, protection, the works. In the head. Alessandro Moretti. The alpha. Cold, ruthless, untouchable. Rumors said he didn't just control the streets, he owned the fear in them. I swallowed. "Luca, do you know where home is? An address? A landmark?" He shook his head fast. "Father said stay inside. But I wanted the stars. The roof has stars." Then the door locked. I walked. Now everything spins. He was melting down, quietly but surely. The rain, the lights, the noise, it was too much. I made a snap decision. "Come on. Let's get you dry first. My place is 2 blocks. You can wait there while I figure this out." No pressure. He hesitated, then nodded once, sharp. He followed me like a shadow, never more than a step behind, hands still moving in those small, repetitive patterns. My apartment was tiny, 1 room, a couch that doubled as my bed, books everywhere. I got him a towel and a dry hoodie of mine. He took them without a word, changed in the bathroom, came out smelling faintly of my soap. He sat on the edge of the couch, knees drawn up, rocking again. I pulled up my phone. "Luca, can I call someone?" "Your dad." His eyes flicked to me, brief, intense contact, then away. "Alessandro. But he'll be angry. I broke the rules." I texted the emergency number listed online for the Moretti estate, some anonymous tip line everyone knew about but never used unless they wanted trouble. "Found Luca. Safe. Downtown." Reply with pickup instructions. The response came in under a minute. "Stay where you are. Do not move him. Team en route." ***. My stomach dropped. 20 minutes later, the door exploded inward. 3 men in black, guns drawn. I threw my hands up. Luca flinched hard, curling into himself, a low whine escaping his throat. Then he appeared. Alessandro Moretti stepped through the doorway like the storm itself had followed him. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair slicked back, eyes like black ice. He wore a tailored coat over a suit that probably cost more than my rent for a year. Power radiated off him, alpha in every sense, the kind that made rooms go silent. His gaze locked on Luca first. Relief flickered, then vanished behind steel. "Luca." 1 word. "Oh." Commanding. Luca uncurled slightly. I got lost. Alessandro crossed the room in 3 strides, knelt, cupped Luca's face with surprising gentleness. "You're safe now." Then those eyes turned to me. I felt pinned. Exposed. Like he'd already read every secret I had. "You." His voice was velvet over razor blades. "You kept him safe. I just found him on the street. Brought him here to wait." He stood slowly, towering. "You could have walked away. Sold the information. Many would. I didn't." Something shifted in his expression. Curiosity, maybe possession. "No. You didn't." He glanced at his men. Outside. They filed out without question. Alessandro turned back to me. "What's your name?" "Ben." My voice cracked. "Stupid. Ben." He tested it. "You have no idea what you've stepped into." "I think I do." He stepped closer. Too close. I could smell his cologne, dark, expensive, intoxicating. "You don't. But you will." Luca tugged at his sleeve. He helped. He's nice. Alessandro's gaze softened for his brother, only for a second, then hardened again on me. You'll come with us. What? No. It's not a request. He leaned in, breath warm against my ear. You touched what's mine. Now you're mine to protect. Or punish. Your choice. My heart slammed. Fear. Thrill. Something darker. He pulled back, smirking faintly. Get your things. We're leaving. I had no choice. Not really. As we stepped into the rain, Alessandro's hand closed around my wrist. Not hard, but unbreakable. And just like that, I belonged to the devil. The black SUV swallowed the streetlights as we pulled away from my crumbling apartment building. I sat in the middle row, Luca pressed against my left side, small tremors still running through him every time the tires hit a pothole. Alessandro was in the front passenger seat, speaking in clipped Italian to the driver. I caught only fragments, fratello sicuro quello lì, and every time his voice dipped lower, my pulse answered. Luca's fingers found the sleeve of my hoodie, the one he was still wearing, and twisted the fabric into tight spirals. You're coming with us, he said, not quite a question. Looks like it, I muttered. Good. He rocked once forward and back. You smell safe. Like books. And rain. Father smells like metal and smoke. Sometimes it hurts my nose. Alessandro's head turned just enough for me to catch the edge of his profile. Sharp jaw, shadowed stubble, lips pressed into a line that could have been amusement or warning. He didn't speak, but the silence felt heavier than any order. We didn't go downtown to the glittering penthouses everyone assumed the Morettis owned. Instead, the driver took us north, past the industrial district, through gates that opened without anyone touching them, and up a long private road lined with cedar trees that blocked out the sky. The estate appeared like something carved from a nightmare and a dream at the same time. Black stone, tall iron fences, windows that reflected nothing. Inside, the air was cooler, scented with cedar and leather. Marble floors echoed under our shoes. Two men in dark suits appeared from a side corridor, nodded once at Alessandro and took Luca's arms gently. Come on, Piccolo, one said. Shower then bed. Doctor's waiting. Luca looked back at me, eyes wide and searching. Ben stays. Alessandro answered before I could. Ben stays. Relief flickered across Luca's face. He let them lead him away, still wearing my hoodie, still clutching the sleeve he'd twisted into a rope. The moment the corridor door closed behind them, Alessandro turned to me. Upstairs. Now. I followed because stopping didn't feel like an option. He led me to a study that looked like it belonged in a different century, dark wood panels, shelves that climbed to a coffered ceiling, a single massive desk under a green-shaded lamp. One wall was glass, overlooking a courtyard lit by low lanterns. Rain streaked the panes. He closed the door. The click sounded final. Sit. I chose the leather chair opposite the desk instead of the couch. Safer distance. He didn't sit. He leaned against the edge of the desk, arms crossed, studying me like I was a problem he hadn't decided how to solve yet. Benjamin Carter, he said. 24. No criminal record. Works nights at Pages and Pros on 14th. Lives alone in a fifth-floor walk-up with black mold warnings taped to the front door. Parents in Ohio, estranged. One sister, married, 2 kids. You send her money every month even though she never asks. My mouth went dry. You ran me already? I ran you the second my men pulled up and saw you standing in front of my brother with no weapon and no fear. His eyes narrowed. That was either very brave or very stupid. Mostly stupid, I admitted. A ghost of a smile touched his mouth, gone in half a second. Luca likes you. He doesn't like anyone new. Ever. He was scared. I just didn't want him to be alone in the rain. Alessandro pushed off the desk and circled behind my chair. I felt the heat of him even though he didn't touch me. You have no idea how many people would have taken a picture of him, posted it, waited for the highest bidder. You could have made enough to never work retail again. I don't want that kind of money. What do you want, Ben? His voice dropped, intimate, dangerous. He stopped behind me. I could feel his breath stir the hair at my nape. I closed my eyes for a second, steadying. I want to know he's okay. That's it. Silence stretched. Then his hand settled on my shoulder, not heavy but firm. Possessive. He is. Because of you. I exhaled shakily. His fingers tightened. But now you're in my world. And my world doesn't let people walk away once they've seen the inside. I twisted to look up at him. So what happens now? You lock me in a basement? Kill me when I become inconvenient? He laughed once, low and dark. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be gone. He stepped around to face me, crouching so our eyes were level. I want you here. Where I can see you. Where Luca can see you. Where no one else can touch you. My heart kicked hard against my ribs. You don't even know me. I know enough. He reached out, slow enough I could have pulled away, and brushed his thumb along my jaw. The touch was electric. You're loyal. You're gentle with him. You're terrified right now, and you're still meeting my eyes. That's rare. I swallowed. And if I say no? You won't. Confidence edged every word. Because part of you already wants to stay. He was right. God help me, he was right. Alessandro rose, offered his hand. Come. You need sleep. Tomorrow you'll see what you've walked into. I took his hand. His grip was warm, steady, inescapable. He led me down a hallway lined with closed doors until we reached one at the end. Inside was a guest room, huge bed, soft gray linens, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the same rain-soaked courtyard. A single lamp glowed on the nightstand. He released me at the threshold. Clothes in the closet. Bathroom stocked. If you need anything. He paused, gaze dropping to my mouth for one heartbeat. Knock on the door across the hall. That's mine. I nodded, throat too tight for words. He started to leave, then stopped. Turned back. Closed the distance in one step. Before I could breathe, his hand cupped the back of my neck and he kissed me. Not gentle. Not tentative. Claiming. His mouth was hot, demanding, tasting faintly of coffee and danger. I froze for half a second. Then my hands fisted in his coat and I kissed him back, desperate, reckless, like I'd been starving for something I didn't know existed until now. He growled low in his throat, pressed me against the doorframe, deepened the kiss until my head spun and my knees threatened to give. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were black fire. Sleep, he ordered, voice rough. We have a lot to discuss tomorrow. He left me there, lips tingling, heart hammering, staring at the empty hallway. I shut the door. Locked it. Then leaned against it and slid to the floor because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. What the hell had I just done? And why did every part of me want to do it again? Morning came too fast, gray light slipping through heavy curtains like it was apologizing for existing. I woke up tangled in sheets that smelled faintly of cedar and gun oil. Definitely not my apartment. My lips still carried the ghost of last night's kiss, bruised and restless. I found clothes laid out on the armchair, dark jeans, a soft black sweater, socks that actually matched. No note. No choice. Just expectation. Downstairs, the house was already alive in a quiet, lethal way. Men in suits moved like shadows, carrying tablets and speaking in low voices. No one stopped me as I followed the smell of coffee to a massive kitchen that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Marble counters, double islands, a wall of windows showing the rain had finally stopped. Luca was there, perched on a high stool, swinging his legs in slow, even arcs. He wore clean clothes now, oversized hoodie, same one I'd lent him, and he was eating cereal one careful spoonful at a time, counting under his breath between bites. When he saw me, the spoon paused midair. Ben? His voice was brighter than last night. You stayed. Yeah. I slid onto the stool beside him. Couldn't leave my favorite hoodie thief behind. He smiled, small reel, and pushed the box toward me. Cinnamon. The best kind. Father says too much sugar makes people stupid, but he lets me have it on Sundays. I poured some into a bowl just to have something to do with my hands. Where is he? Office. Always office on Sunday mornings. Luca tilted his head, studying me. You kissed him. Heat rushed up my neck. You heard that? I hear everything. The walls are thin when you're listening for bad sounds. He tapped his temple. And good ones. Yours sounded good. I choked on dry cereal. Luca? Don't worry. Father doesn't kiss people. Ever. Not since Mama died. He said it matter-of-factly, like he was reporting the weather. So it's important. Before I could find words, the kitchen door opened. Alessandro walked in wearing a charcoal sweater that hugged his shoulders and black slacks that looked tailored to kill. No tie. Sleeves pushed to his elbows. The casual version of lethal. His eyes found me immediately. Help. Morning, he said, voice low enough it felt private even in a room this size. Morning, I managed. He poured coffee into 2 mugs, slid one to me without asking if I took it black. I didn't correct him. Luca looked between us, rocking gently. Ben staying today? Alessandro leaned against the counter opposite us, arms crossed. Ben's staying until I decide otherwise. I met his gaze. And when's that? When I'm sure you won't run the second my back is turned. I'm not running. Something flickered in his eyes, satisfaction, maybe hunger. Good. Luca finished his cereal, slid off the stool. I want to show Ben the library. He likes books. He told me. Alessandro nodded once. Take 2 guards. Stay inside the east wing. Luca grabbed my wrist, gentle but insistent, and tugged. Come. I followed because refusing felt impossible. The library was ridiculous. 2 stories of dark wood shelves, rolling ladders, leather-bound volumes that probably cost more than my life. Sunlight filtered through tall windows, catching dust motes like tiny stars. Luca let go of my wrist and went straight to a low shelf near the fireplace. He pulled out a worn paperback with a cracked spine. This one. It's about a boy who talks to ghosts. I like it because the ghosts don't judge him when he flaps or rocks. I took it, thumbed through pages marked with colored sticky notes. You read this a lot? Every time the house feels too loud. He sat cross-legged on the rug, patting the space beside him. I joined him. For maybe 20 minutes we just sat there, him rereading favorite passages out loud in a soft monotone, me listening, occasionally adding a quiet comment. It was peaceful in a way I hadn't felt in years. No pressure. No performance. Then the door opened. Alessandro stepped inside alone. The guard stayed in the hall. Luca looked up. We're reading. I see. Alessandro's gaze shifted to me, lingering on the way I was sitting close enough that our shoulders brushed. Luca, go find Marco. He's setting up the chessboard in the solarium. Luca hesitated, then stood. Don't leave, he told me seriously. Promise. Promise. He left, footsteps fading down the hall. Alessandro closed the door. Locked it. The click echoed. He crossed the room slowly, deliberately. Stopped in front of me. I didn't stand. I stayed seated on the rug, looking up at him, heart thudding loud enough I was sure he could hear it. You're good with him, he said quietly. He's easy to be good with. Alessandro crouched, bringing our faces level. Most people are afraid of him. Or pity him. You don't do either. He's not frightening. And he doesn't need pity. He needs someone who listens. Alessandro's hand lifted, fingers brushing the hair back from my forehead. The touch was light, almost careful. And what do you need, Ben? I swallowed. I don't know yet. Liar. His thumb traced my lower lip, slow, deliberate. You need someone who sees you. Really sees you. Not the broke bookstore clerk. Not the guy who sends money to a sister who never calls back. You. My breath hitched. He leaned in until our foreheads touched. I see you. Then he kissed me again. Slower this time. Deeper. Like he was memorizing the shape of my mouth, the catch in my throat when his tongue brushed mine. I made a small, helpless sound and my hands found his shoulders, gripping hard. He shifted, one knee between my legs, pressing me back against the bookshelves until it dug into my spine and heat pooled everywhere. When he pulled away we were both breathing hard. You're shaking, he murmured against my jaw. Because you terrify me. And because you want this. He nipped my earlobe, sharp enough to sting, soft enough to promise more. Say it. I want this. The words came out ragged. I want you. He exhaled like I'd punched the air out of him. Then he stood, pulling me up with him. His hands framed my face. Luca needs routine. Stability. He's been through enough. His voice dropped to something raw. I won't let anyone hurt him again. That includes you walking out and leaving a hole in his life. I won't. If you stay mine. His thumb pressed against my pulse point. No half measures. No running when it gets dangerous. Because it will get dangerous. I searched his eyes, black, intense, unguarded for the first time. Then make it worth the danger. A slow, dangerous smile curved his mouth. He kissed me once more, hard, possessive, sealing something neither of us could take back. When he finally stepped away, his voice was rough. Dinner tonight. What's in your room? He walked out, leaving me leaning against the shelves, lips swollen, heart racing, already addicted to the taste of him. I was in deep. And I didn't want to surface. Dinner was served in a dining room that could have seated 30 but held only 3 of us. Long ebony table, candles and silver holders, plates of food that looked too beautiful to eat, seared steak, roasted vegetables glistening with oil, some kind of truffle risotto I'd only ever seen in magazines. Luca sat between us, carefully arranging his fork and knife at perfect right angles before he'd touch anything. Alessandro watched him with quiet patience, then looked at me. Eat, he said. Not in order this time. Almost gentle. I picked up my fork. The first bite tasted like money and danger and something I couldn't name. Luca spoke first, voice small but steady. Ben, do you know about constellations? A little. Why? I mapped them on the ceiling of my room. Glow-in-the-dark stars. Father let me put them up when I was 12. They don't move. That's why I like them. Alessandro's gaze flicked to me, something unreadable in it. He spent 3 nights on a ladder. Wouldn't let anyone help. Because they get it wrong, Luca said simply. Ben wouldn't get it wrong. Heat crept up my neck again. Alessandro's foot brushed mine under the table, deliberate, lingering. I didn't pull away. After dessert, some chocolate thing so rich it bordered on sinful, Luca pushed his chair back. I'm going to read now. The ghost book. In the library. Alessandro nodded. Marco will go with you. Luca paused at the doorway looking back at me. You'll come say goodnight? Later? Yeah, I promised. I will. He left, footsteps soft on the marble. The room felt smaller without him. Alessandro leaned back in his chair, swirling the last of his wine. He trusts you faster than he's trusted anyone since he was 8. What happened when he was 8? Alessandro's expression shuddered. Someone tried to take him. Thought they could use him to hurt me. They didn't get far. He set the glass down with careful precision. But Luca stopped speaking for 6 months afterward. Wouldn't look at anyone. Wouldn't leave his room. My stomach twisted. I'm sorry. Don't be. You're fixing something I couldn't. He stood, rounded the table, stopped behind my chair. His hands settled on my shoulders, warm, heavy. Come with me. He didn't wait for an answer. Just guided me up, through a side door, down a dimly lit corridor I hadn't seen before. We ended up in what looked like a private sitting room. Low couches, a fireplace already crackling, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves on one wall, and a single wide window overlooking dark gardens. He closed the door. Turned the lock. Then he was on me. No preamble this time. He backed me against the nearest bookshelf, mouth crashing into mine like he'd been holding back all through dinner. I gasped against his lips. He swallowed the sound, hands sliding under my sweater, palms rough and hot against my skin. I arched into the touch, fingers tangling in his hair, pulling him closer. He broke the kiss only long enough to drag my sweater over my head, tossing it somewhere behind him. His mouth found my throat, open, wet kisses that turned into bites just sharp enough to make me shudder. I tipped my head back, giving him more, needing more. You taste like cinnamon, he murmured against my collarbone. And fear. And want. I'm not afraid anymore, I lied. He laughed softly, darkly. Yes you are. And it's beautiful. His hands moved lower, unbuttoning my jeans with maddening slowness. I tried to help. He caught my wrists, pinned them above my head against the books with one hand. The other slipped inside fabric, stroking, teasing, until my knees buckled and a broken sound escaped me. Alessandro caught me, spun us, lowered me onto the wide leather couch. He came down over me, weight solid and grounding, mouth claiming mine again, deeper, hungrier, tongues sliding in a rhythm that matched the pulse hammering between us. Clothes disappeared in fragments, his sweater, my jeans, his shirt, until it was just skin on skin, heat building, breaths mingling. Every touch felt like a brand. Every kiss like a vow. He moved with purpose, slow then fast, coaxing sounds from me I didn't know I could make. I clung to him, nails digging into his back, chasing the edge he kept pulling me toward. When the wave finally broke, it crashed through both of us at once, shaking, breathless, overwhelming. He buried his face in my neck, teeth grazing skin, a low groan rumbling in his chest as he held me through the aftershocks. We stayed like that for long minutes, tangled, hearts slamming against each other. Then he lifted his head, eyes searching mine. You're still here. Where else would I go? He kissed me again, soft this time. Almost reverent. Nowhere. He pulled a throw blanket over us, tucked me against his side. His fingers traced lazy patterns on my bare shoulder. Luca will want his good night, he said quietly. I'll go in a minute. Stay a little longer. His voice was rough, unguarded. Just like this. I pressed my lips to the hollow of his throat. Okay. We lay there until the fire burned low. Until my breathing evened out and his hold on me loosened but never let go. Eventually I stirred. I should. I'll come with you. We dressed in silence, stealing touches. His hand on my lower back, my fingers brushing his as we walked the halls. At Luca's door, Alessandro knocked once, soft. Luca opened it immediately, still in pajamas, hair mussed, holding the ghost book like a shield. Ben. Relief lit his face. He looked past me to Alessandro. You're both here. Alessandro ruffled his hair gently. We're both here. Luca stepped forward, hesitated, then hugged me, quick, awkward but real. Thank you for staying. I hugged him back. Always. He pulled away, looked at Alessandro. You like him too. I can tell. Alessandro didn't deny it. Just met my eyes over Luca's head. Yeah, I do. Luca smiled, small, bright, and closed the door after a quiet, good night. Alessandro walked me back to my room. At the threshold he stopped, cupped my face, kissed me slow and lingering. Sleep here tonight, he said against my lips. Or come to mine. Your choice. I didn't even have to think. Yours. His smile was slow, victorious. He led me across the hall, through his door, into a room that smelled like him, dark wood, leather, faint smoke. The bed was massive, sheets cool against heated skin. He pulled me down, wrapped around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. Mine? He whispered into my hair. I laced my fingers with his. Yours. And for the first time in years the world felt steady. The next 3 days blurred into something dangerously close to normal. Morning started with Luca knocking on Alessandro's door at exactly 7:14. Never earlier, never later, carrying 2 mugs of coffee he'd made himself. One black for his brother, one with exactly 2 sugars for me. He'd stand there in oversized pajamas, rocking on his heels until we both sat up and accepted the offering like it was sacred ritual. Routine is important, he'd say every time, satisfied when we drank. Alessandro would watch me over the rim of his mug, eyes dark and unreadable, while Luca explained the day's schedule in meticulous detail. Breakfast at 7:30, reading until 9 o'clock, chess with Marco at 10:15, lunch at noon sharp. No deviations. No surprises. Except me. I was the surprise that somehow fit. Afternoons were quieter. Luca would disappear into his room or the library with his books and star charts, leaving Alessandro and me alone in the sprawling house. We didn't talk much at first. We didn't need to. He'd find me wherever I wandered, study, kitchen, courtyard, and pull me into the nearest shadowed corner. A hand on my wrist, a mouth on mine. Slow, consuming kisses that left me dizzy and aching for more. He never rushed. Never pushed past the line we'd silently drawn. But every touch felt like a promise building toward something inevitable. One afternoon he found me in the solarium, sunlight slanting through glass walls, surrounded by potted ferns and Luca's collection of polished river stones arranged in perfect spirals on the floor. Alessandro didn't speak. Just crossed the room, dropped to his knees in front of me and kissed me like the world was ending. I sank into it, hands in his hair, body arching toward him without permission. When he finally pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. You're dangerous, he murmured. Me? I laughed, breathless. You're the one who runs half the city. You make me want things I stopped wanting years ago. His thumb traced my cheekbone. Peace. Normalcy. Someone who looks at Luca like he's a person, not a liability. Someone who looks at me like I'm not a monster. I swallowed. You're not a monster. His laugh was bitter. You haven't seen everything yet. Then show me. He studied me for a long moment. Then he stood, offered his hand. Come. He took me to the lower level, past locked doors, past men who nodded without meeting my eyes, down a corridor that smelled faintly of concrete and metal. At the end was a reinforced door. He pressed his thumb to a scanner, it hissed open. Inside was a small, windowless room. One metal table. One chair bolted to the floor. A single overhead light. And on the table a phone. Alessandro picked it up, tapped the screen, turned it toward me. A grainy video began to play. Luca, younger, maybe 12, sitting in the back of a van, blindfolded, rocking violently. Muffled voices in the background. A man's laugh. Then Luca's small, broken whisper, Father, please? The screen cut to black. Alessandro's voice was flat. They kept him 47 hours. Demanded 30 million and my territory north of the river. I paid nothing. I found them instead. He didn't elaborate. He didn't have to. I stared at the blank screen, nausea rising. Did you? Every single one. No remorse. Just fact. And I'd do it again. I looked up at him. His face was stone, but his eyes were exhausted. That's who I am, Ben. That's what you're tying yourself to. I stepped closer. Reached up. Cupped his jaw. You protected him. You still do. Every day. I'm not a hero. I don't need a hero. My thumb brushed his lower lip. I need someone who'd burn the world for the people he loves. Something cracked in his expression, small, fleeting. Then he kissed me again, harder this time, backing me against the cold wall until the chill seeped through my shirt and his heat burned it away. His hands framed my face like I was fragile. Like I was everything. When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. I don't deserve this, he whispered. Too bad. You're stuck with me. He exhaled a shaky laugh. Stubborn. Learn from the best. We stayed like that until the overhead light buzzed faintly. Then he straightened, took my hand and led me out. The door sealed behind us with a final click. That night, after Luca was asleep, Alessandro brought me to the rooftop. The city glittered below us, dangerous, beautiful, indifferent. He stood behind me, arms around my waist, chin on my shoulder. Luca used to come up here every clear night, he said quietly. Before the incident. After he stopped. Said the stars felt too far away. I leaned back into him. He told me about the glow-in-the-dark ones. Said they don't move. They don't betray you either. I turned in his arms. Looked up at him. You won't lose us, I said. Not me. Not him. His gaze searched mine. Then he kissed me, slow, deep, endless. When he pulled back, his voice was rough. Marry me. I froze. He didn't smile. Didn't laugh it off. Just held my eyes. Not tomorrow. Not next week. When you're ready. But I want it on the table. I want you to know I'm not playing. I want you forever, Ben. In every way that matters. My heart slammed against my ribs. Words failed. I tried again. You sure? I've never been more sure of anything. I searched his face, hard lines, shadowed eyes, unguarded hope. Yes, I whispered. His breath caught. Then he kissed me again, fierce and tender all at once, lifting me until my feet left the ground and the city spun below us. When he set me down, he didn't let go. Soon, he promised against my lips. When the dust settles. I didn't ask what dust. I just held on. Because whatever storm was coming, we'd face it together. The call came at 3:17 a.m. Alessandro's phone vibrated once on the nightstand, short, sharp, the way it only did when something was already bleeding. He answered without turning on the light, voice low and lethal. Talk. I felt the shift in his body before I heard the words. Muscles locking. Breath going still. Then one quiet curse in Italian. He ended the call. Sat up. Reached for the lamp. The warm glow showed his face carved from stone. They took Luca. The words landed like a blade between ribs. I was already moving, out of bed, pulling on yesterday's jeans, heart slamming so hard it hurt. How? The house is. Inside job. He yanked a black shirt over his head. One of the new drivers. They waited until the shift changed. Luca was in the library. They used a tranq dart through the window. Gone in under 90 seconds. I froze mid-step. He's terrified of needles. Hill? I know. Alessandro's voice cracked, just once, then hardened again. We're getting him back. Downstairs the house had become a war room. Men in tactical gear checked weapons, checked comms, checked maps projected on the dining table. Alessandro moved through them like gravity, issuing orders and clipped sentences that left no room for questions. I stood at the edge, useless, until he looked up and saw me. Ben. He crossed to me in 3 strides. Cupped my face with both hands. You stay here. No, Ben. He trusts me. If he's awake, if he's panicking, my voice might. My throat closed. I can help. Please. Alessandro searched my eyes. Something fierce and protective flickered there, then gave way. You stay behind me. You do exactly what I say. You get hurt, I'll never forgive either of us. I nodded. He kissed me, hard, brief, tasting like fear and fury, then pulled me toward the garage. We rode in 2 SUVs. Blacked out windows. No sirens. Just speed and silence. The tracker in Luca's watch pinged a warehouse district 20 minutes outside the city. Abandoned steelworks, rusted girders, broken windows like missing teeth. Alessandro's men fanned out the second we stopped. I stayed glued to his side, heart in my throat. They breached quiet. Efficient. Gunfire cracked once, twice, short bursts, then silence again. Alessandro moved like he'd been born in shadows. I followed, stepping over bodies I tried not to look at. We found Luca in a back office, tied to a chair, blindfold loose around his neck, rocking hard enough the legs scraped concrete. His wrists were raw from struggling. Eyes wide, unfocused, breath coming in shallow gasps. Luca, I whispered. His head snapped toward my voice. Ben? Alessandro was already cutting the zip ties. It's over, Piccolo. We're here. Luca lunged forward the second his hands were free, straight into my arms. He buried his face in my chest, trembling so violently I thought he'd break apart. I counted, he mumbled against my shirt. I counted to keep the noise away. 1,423. Then I heard you. I held him tighter. I'm here. We're taking you home. Alessandro knelt beside us, hand gentle on Luca's back. You're safe. Luca lifted his head just enough to look at his brother. They said you wouldn't come. That you'd let them have me to keep the peace. Alessandro's jaw clenched so hard I heard the grind of teeth. They lied. Luca nodded once, small, trusting, then sagged against me again. We got him out. Wrapped in Alessandro's coat. Into the SUV. Home before dawn broke. The doctor came. Sedative for Luca's nerves. Stitches for the abrasions on his wrists. Alessandro never left the room while the exam happened. Neither did I. When Luca finally slept, curled on his side under the weighted blanket, glow-in-the-dark stars faint above him, Alessandro pulled me into the hallway. He didn't speak at first. Just pressed me against the wall, forehead to mine, breathing like he'd run the whole way. I thought, his voice broke, I thought I'd lost you both. You didn't. He kissed me then, slow, desperate, tasting of salt and relief. Hands shaking where they cupped my face. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. Marry me, he said again. Tomorrow. Next week. Tonight if the priest will come. I don't care. I need you to be mine in every way the world understands. Because I can't, he swallowed. I can't do this without you anymore. I searched his face, the exhaustion, the fear, the fierce, unshakable love. Yes, I said. Simple. Certain. He exhaled like he'd been holding the breath since the call came. Then he kissed me again, deeper this time, slower, pouring everything he couldn't say into the press of lips and slide of tongue. When we parted, he rested his forehead against mine. Forever starts now. Luca woke at noon. Insisted on cinnamon cereal. Insisted we both sit with him. He looked between us while he counted his spoonfuls. You're getting married, he said. Not a question. Alessandro raised an eyebrow. Eavesdropping again? Luca shrugged. Walls are thin. He looked at me. You'll stay? For always. I reached across the table, squeezed his hand. For always. He smiled, small, real, bright. Good. Because I like the routine better when you're in it. Alessandro's foot found mine under the table. Stayed there. Later, when Luca was back in the library with his book, Alessandro pulled me onto the rooftop again. The city stretched below us, glittering and merciless in hours. He slipped a ring onto my finger, simple platinum band, no flash, just wait and promise. No big ceremony, he said quietly. Just us, Luca. A few people we trust. And vows that mean something. I looked down at the ring. Then up at him. I love you, I said. First time out loud. His breath caught. Then he smiled, slow, unguarded, beautiful. I love you too. He kissed me under the afternoon sky, gentle, endless, home. And somewhere below us, Luca turned a page in his book, counted his stars and felt safe. We'd built something unbreakable. Not because the world was kind, but because we chose each other anyway. Thank you everyone for watching. Please subscribe, like and share for more interesting stories like this.